Hey everyone, so being a libertarian can be exhausting sometimes. Sometimes I hate Trump, sometimes I don't hate him as much. The last few videos I've done were very critical of Trump, so I'm going to throw a slightly more positive one his way this time around, just slightly. Anyway, I've got to give credit where credit is due. Trump has actually slashed regulations by a huge amount. 1 year ago, the Obama administration had hit 95,894 pages in the Federal Register, which should simply just be flat out disturbing to anyone. But as of now, the Federal Register sits at 61,950 pages. So we've gone from basically 96,000 pages to 62,000 pages, which is a trend I sincerely hope continues, and I don't mind applauding Trump for this at all. It is a good step in the right direction. So the possible bad news in all of this is this: Jerome Powell, Trump's pick for the next Federal Reserve chairman. I've talked about him before, and long story short, he is a run-of-the-mill status quo Federal Reserve chairman. He consistently was supportive of quantitative easing, which was essentially free money for Wall Street and responsible for the creation of a gargantuan stock market bubble. And he has also supported the zero interest rate policy the Fed has undertaken for the past decade. This, of course, destroys savings and nearly guarantees that irresponsible lending will occur, thus expanding credit into unsustainable territory. Now, what I just said was an oversimplification, I admit, but why do I bring this up at all? I bring it up because despite these huge cuts in regulations, which is fantastic, and I'd like to see the Federal Register whittled down even further to the size of a postcard, but despite these cuts in regulations, the Federal Reserve will continue to be as poisonous as it always has been. They will continue to fuel the bubble economy, and things will go awry. It's just a question of when. So the issue here is this: Trump is cutting all of these regulations, but when the house of cards inevitably falls, do we really think the Federal Reserve will be taking any blame? Do we really think Jerome Powell will be in the 24-hour news cycle defending the Fed's policies? Of course not. The narrative you will hear is that Trump's deregulation is to blame. The story will be twisted to make it seem as if a lack of government rules and oversight is to blame for all the woes people will begin to suffer from. People will mistakenly blame one of the good things Trump has done, which is to diminish immense regulatory burden and bring the U.S. slightly closer to an actual free market economy in this regard. Yet the terrible decision Trump has made, which is to keep the Federal Reserve operating under business as usual, this will be forgotten, or a second-page news story at best. So in a nutshell, I am fearful that the small government direction Trump takes us on in some areas of the economy will take all the blame, whereas the areas in which Trump has enlarged the influence of government creatures, such as the Federal Reserve, and the instances in which Trump was indistinguishable from a run-of-the-mill statist, that will receive no attention whatsoever, and the free market will take many steps backwards because of this mixed bag approach. Thanks, and that's all.